God forbid you just stop the car until the track is definitely clear. I mean,
When have you seen a hurricane in Texas? Well, it happened that day.
What's all-star about having every driver? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Good guy, ass. Good guy, can't drive a race car. Sorry.
You're listening to the Foreign Fuel Podcast.
hello everyone, welcome back to the Foreign Field Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Caplupo, joined by Steve Ray and Wesley Riddle. We're here for a Wurth 400 preview at Texas Motor Speedway. Steve, what did Jeff Burton say about Texas last year?
Jeff Burton said that Texas, and he said that Texas was must-see TV, and the way to make Texas better was to add more grandstands. Now, I'm not sure if Jeff realized that this track was reconfigured a number of years ago, and the racing has been pretty subpar, to put it nicely, since then, and not when he won twice back in the day, the inaugural race, as well as a thrilling finish in '07 back on the old configuration of Texas when it was actually must-see TV. Nowadays, how wide is turn one and two? Like half a mile wide,
And
and
that
they can
feels
only
like it.
race on the bottom.
Yeah, it's
So I don't know what Burton was thinking last year when he said that Texas is must-see TV and they have to add more grandstands. I would wholeheartedly 100% agree if it was the old configuration of Texas back in the day where it was just high banked, you could run the top or the bottom. 100% it was must watch. It was one of the most thrilling races of the year. And now it's just like it's an important market to be in for sure. The Dallas Fort Worth area. I think it's important to have a race there, but at the same time, you're just like, ugh, I wish that they didn't mess with this track because now it's just meh at best.
yeah, Wes. I mean, maybe Jeff Burton likes the uptick in cautions. Maybe that's what he's looking at is all these guys wrecking by themselves, it feels like, because if you try to even venture out of the one and a half lanes that you could use, it seems like it ends up badly and you spin out all by yourself, especially in turns three and four.
I think Jeff's a little nostalgic of his last win there. I feel like his just too sentimental for him. Uh yeah, the fight for aero in this race just now with these cars is so significant. It just makes for all these single car spins, and we've seen it, I feel like, with pretty much every incident, including, I feel like the biggest one, or the biggest two I can remember were Denny Hamlin on the outside of Chase Elliott battling for the lead, and then Michael McDowell, where Blaney had passed him and just slid up in front of him, and just that little bit took the nose off of McDowell's car, and he lost it. And even like Josh Berry leading last year, it's just such an aero fight. So I don't know. I mean, the track's definitely getting a little bit racier, but until these cars are better, we're not going to see a better racing product.
Yeah, track position seems to be the name of the game here. You look back even in 2020, Austin Dillon nowhere really to be found all day. RCR takes a strategy to take two tires towards the end of the race, and both their cars are able to just kind of get in the lead and hold everyone off. And one of those Austin Dillon wins. And I mean, the next gen car is no different. You look 2 years ago, Chase Elliott gets a win there because he's, as Denny Hamlin said, was ahead of him by a whisker in the middle of one and two when there was a caution. And that was what really settled the race. And Hamlin had to try too hard and got in a bad arrow spot and wrecked.
That
So,
sounds like a skill issue to me.
I mean, yes and no. It seems like when Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are first and second, it seems like the benefit always goes to Chase Elliott. Like if this little call will go to
Absolutely
Chase
not.
Elliott.
Absolute no. That is so asinine. Do we need to pull up 2017 Martinsville right here?
No, this is a typical Chase Elliott fan right
Typical
here.
Chase Elliott fan.
Typical Chase
No.
Elliott fan. We're going back 9
Hey,
years.
okay, Denny started it.
I mean,
I'm sorry Chase has a championship and Denny doesn't.
uh, I mean, I don't know if this
Oh,
is the
oh,
time for the
oh,
argument here.
oh, did you just get put on silent mode?
I'm just saying, you look at Martinsville this year. I mean, BS caution goes in Chase Elliott's favor. Texas 2 years ago, I mean, they couldn't wait to throw that caution. And then they also threw a caution with 7 to go with Denny Hamlin well to the win, and we got a car that grazed the wall. That's a caution.
Oh, here we go. Typical Denny Hamlin fan. It's always somebody else's fault.
And I mean, Kansas last year, Chase Elliott was in favor, took advantage.
That was because the Toyotas committed friendly fire on each other.
Hey,
That wasn't
Chase
his
Elliott
foul.
door slammed the 11 off 4.
Denny Hamlin door slammed his own car.
I wouldn't say door slam. It's a little aggressive. He got tight.
He got tight. All right. Again, it's always somebody else's fault.
Well, let's continue this argument here is some news here from the Gluckcast. We can't ignore this because it seems like some pretty intense stuff. Jeff Dickerson joined Jeff Gluck on the Gluckcast, and Jeff Gluck asked about his stance in the lawsuit here between Joe Gibbs Racing and Spire Motorsports and Chris Gabehart. And Jeff Dickerson's a defendant, and basically he's stating that Joe Gibbs Racing is essentially attacking Spire Motorsports and trying to run them essentially out of the sport. And I mean, there's a 6.5 minute clip if you haven't seen on Jeff Gluck and the Dirty Mo Media pages. Highly recommend you check that out. And it just seems like Jeff Dickerson's fed up, but he kind of did a lot of talking, which, if you look at the response on Twitter, Shannon McMenemy responded saying, I mean, it seems like they're digging themselves a hole here with the more they talk on social media. It seems like it's not doing them any good. And in a part of that, Jeff Dickerson said that Chris Gabehart did admit to stealing information from Joe Gibbs Racing and bringing it with him to Spire. And then essentially Jeff Dickerson got very defensive and said, "We don't need Joe Gibbs Racing's information. We already have Hendrick's information," without saying Hendrick directly. So, I mean, it's getting a little messy here. And Steve, I don't know where this is going to go. I know we've got people talking like they're still trying to set where this trial is going to happen, whether it's happening in November this year, but Spire then wants it in May next year. I mean, it's a big convoluted mess right now.
Yeah, you know the meme where the guy is just sitting there thinking and there's just a whole bunch of like numbers and symbols that are floating around his head. That's kind of me right now watching this go down. I mean, I'm the furthest thing from a lawyer, so like legal talk just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to begin with. So that's why I rely on people like Gluck and McMenemy to help me understand some of this. Um, yeah, I guess what I'll say to it is, Joe Gibbs Racing, those people are so concerned about the information that Spire has stolen, Chris Gabehart has stolen, whatever. Obviously, I would say that so far this year, it's Joe Gibbs Racing has been running better than Spire. Gibbs has a win, Denny Hamlin has a win, and Spire, yes, hosts of R1 at Talladega. While it was awesome, Talladega is kind of luck of the draw. So I would feel like that if the information, relevant to Spire that Gabe Hart brought over from JGR, I feel like that they would be running consistently with where the JGR cars are, and they're really not this year. So JGR still has a leg up on them, in my opinion. So yeah, this whole thing is getting way messier. We thought that the 2311 and front row versus NASCAR thing was messy. That was just chaotic in a sense and blockbuster-ish, but this is just straight up messy. This is like going through a breakup and then your ex is still mad at you and now your new girl, like, I don't know, sounds terrible. And I'm It's not as straightforward, I guess, with it because there's so many different moving pieces and parts in there.
Also, when Jeff Dickerson towards the end of that, he's like, they might win this. One, well, if you're saying that, then there's something going on. And two, he said, well, I'm going to make sure they wish they didn't do this. Well, you can't, that's a threat. So you going on social media basically threatening Joe Gibbs Racing is not going to help your case at all. And that can backfire on you real quick.
Yeah, anything and everything that you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. That includes social media.
And then Heather Gibbs sent in a statement responding to that video to The Athletic, essentially saying that the goal here is not to run Spire Motorsports out. You know, Joe Gibbs Racing encourages young talent and is happy, like Carson Hocevar. That win is big, and we need people like that in the sport. It's just they're standing up for their information that they've worked hard for to keep that confidential in-house without letting that go, be spread to other teams. And I think what the big deal is since obviously Spire is in partnership with Hendrick, it's Hendrick getting the Joe Gibbs Racing information, which I think is the big ultimate concern of Joe Gibbs Racing here. And obviously the timeline of the Chris Gabehart hiring is just so it's hard for Jeff Dickerson to say, "Oh, I didn't want any of that information." Because if that was the case, wouldn't he just take that up front with Chris Gabehart? And also, I don't know if there was or is legal problems with him talking and basically hiring him before Chris Gabehart was like out at Joe Gibbs Racing. I don't know if there's anything in the contracts that state you can't talk to other teams while you're still technically under contract. But then this thing takes a whole another level about an hour or so before we started recording as Denny Hamlin took to social media, took to Twitter, and he responded to that post, that video with Jeff Dickerson, and essentially he responds to that whole thing and says, "Yeah, okay, buddy. You hired someone who stole tens of millions worth of information, lied about communications y'all had after you deleted them, and now is getting paid double to work on your truck program, question mark? GTFO. What was it you called Richard again? What was it you who was leaking information after RTA calls?" So Denny Hamlin, who's been, he was put through the ringer in trial already, is basically calling him out on all of what he said and basically said it's all BS. And Denny Hamlin obviously was close with Chris Gabehart. It's like you said, Steve, it's like that ex, and just can't let go. And obviously there's frustration here because for Denny Hamlin, it's not affecting 2311 necessarily, but he's still getting very defensive for Joe Gibbs Racing and is trying to call it out here. And then you've got Breakard, who people are very split on that content creator. He's very big on TikTok. He basically tried to make a joke saying, "Does tens of millions equal 10,000 races?" And then Denny Hamlin's just like, "You're an idiot." Literally just said word for word, "You're an idiot."
You're an idiot. Oh man.
So that's where everything kind of stands on this matter. And just very, I think, not to be biased, and Joe Gibbs Racing and it's hard in a lawsuit, but it seems like Spire's in a hole here when it comes to this whole lawsuit. It's kind of starting to feel like that, where the team's got that leg up on NASCAR and kind of backed them in a corner. It seems like Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't even have to back Spire up into a corner. That Spire kind of just digging their own grave here, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely at the start of this, it felt like Spire had the leg up on JGR at the start. Like it felt like that it was in some ways quickly going to go in Spire's favor. And now it's just done a 180-degree turn. And yeah, like you said, Spire has done a lot of the damage to themselves And now it's very quickly going in the opposite way where JGR's got the leg up on them.
Well, we will keep that updated, and if we get any news over the weekend, we'll talk about it in the post race, recap. But we do have Anthony back on the Foreign Field podcast here. He joined in. Obviously, didn't see Sam here at the beginning, feeling under the weather. So Anthony has graciously decided to jump in here after a long day at Buffalo Wild Wings. He's back on the Ford Field podcast.
Hello, hello. How are we doing today?
Well, we just had a long talk about lawsuits, and we talked about Jeff Burton's take on how Texas is the greatest track, and
Oh,
that the
oh
biggest
no.
the biggest
Oh
issue is
no.
there's not enough grandstands.
What? They should just take the whole thing down. They ruined that track.
Preach. I
Are
don't
you
agree with taking
kidding?
it down, but can they
Well, I
make
mean,
it how it used to be?
yeah, seriously, with how many good battles they used to have in the past. If anything, tear down the rest of the grandstand or something. Don't add more. What the? That's crazy.
Well, he likes this format. He likes this configuration because his son did win because he turned left
There's
on
a
Noah
bird. Turns
Gragson.
left. I mean, he also spun out in the beginning of that race too, if we remember. So, I mean,
That he did. That he did. So
listen, there's a lot of biased takes over there. I mean, Kyle Petty, I feel like is worse on those takes, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But Texas is not the way it used to be, and I know Steve said preach because it's true. I mean, it's like how much good racing, how much side by side racing. You can run the top, you can run the bottom. Now, if you just try to run the top, you're just like in the
it's
marbles,
yep.
in the wall. Like I remember, remember it was either last year or 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago where Bubba had the quickest car and Larson got underneath him and with like 20 to go and spun it like just completely 360'd into the wall. So it's just, I mean, it's not like I've seen worse races. Like I know you have too. You were at Watkins Glen last year, so but I mean, it's just not the way it used to be. It's not fun anymore to watch Texas.
Well, Texas, if I remember correctly, Texas is that track that's got that huge bump in 3 and 4. And if you, especially with these next gen cars, if you hit that either, if you're not hugging right on the bottom on the white line, or you move up half lane, you hit that bump, it's gonna send your car up to the wall.
Yeah, it's like your forward wheels just come off the ground for a second, you lose all traction, and it just goes right around. And I mean, we've seen many drivers have that happen. You look at Kyle Busch, it's happened to him, but I mean, he self spins damn near every week without it being Texas. I mean, Alex Bowman's backed it into the wall, Denny Hamlin, and countless others, and I'm sure it'll keep happening this time. But for Texas, going into this is going to be the 46th Cup race at Texas. That first race was won by none other than Jeff Burton back in 1997. April 6th they ran that race. So we're a month later now, almost 30 years later. That's kind of disgusting to say. 1997 and that's 29 years ago. With Texas, I mean it's going to be strategy. Depends on the tire fall off. They said they're bringing the same tire. I think they ran at Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. So whether that leads to tire fall off or like at Kansas or not, who knows? I'm sure there'll be strategy at the end of the race if there's a late race caution, which it seems like there will be because of how easy it is to either get out of the groove or spin out here. The cautions have been higher at this track than I think most other tracks. So I'd say expect double digit cautions this weekend. And so I think enough of talk about New Texas. I'm gonna trust Wes here to not throw us, way back into a New Texas, but a old Texas here.
Yeah, I guess. Do you guys want to guess what year I went with?
Oh,
Well, I'm gonna guess one of the best finishes in Texas Motor Speedway history, 2009 spring race. Jeff Gordon snaps the winless streak.
I'd say
All right.
'07
Okay,
or
okay.
2000. He might go 2000.
I'm with Dom. I feel like the Matt Kenseth Jeff Burton battle was pretty nice.
Oh, I'll take one get since we're on '07. I'll do the '07 fall race.
Oh,
Like
but he,
you,
no,
Mm,
there's
you
only one
usually
see, I
keep,
run.
don't, I
Yeah,
don't do the fall race. See, I
yeah.
want to save the fall for the fall.
but there
So
is no
I,
fall here.
oh, that's true.
There's only one running.
Very true. So we'll have to make something up for, I don't know, some of the other, some of the other weeks that we're not going back to, or like we're on a new tracks, like, I don't know, San Diego. I did not pick any of those years. I actually picked, let's see, we're going to go to Sunday, March 28th of 1999. I wanted to go a little bit further back, because this was a win for me when I was a kid. We were pretty excited about in this household because if one of our drivers, at least my drivers, didn't do good, there was another one I rooted for. So when Jeff Gordon would crash out, I would typically cheer for Terry Labonte, and sure enough, this was a Terry Labonte day. But this is a race where I feel like a lot of people have seen the clip go around on social media where when the race went green flags, CBS, the coverage for that day, they actually cut away right when they hit the green flag to cover something, some kind of report that was going on with the Kosovo war. I don't know if y'all have seen that, but literally at the moment they cross the finish line, Mike Joy says, "We're going to be right back." They cut away and then they come back on like lap 5 on the backstretch, and sure enough, they had like a live report, I guess, for some unfortunate casualties that happened in Kosovo during that time. But yeah, pretty wild to like start a race and then hear some kind of update like that. But this was a race where Kenny Irwin, he scored his second career Cup Series pole. His first came the season finale at Atlanta the year prior, and then he only had one more pole later in 1999 in the fall Darlington race. So this was one of 3 that he had before he passed, unfortunately, in July of 2000, New Hampshire. Um, I noticed too he had actually finished 5th in the Saturday Busch Series race at Texas, which happened to be his first start. He had failed to qualify 5 times in the Busch Series from 1994 to 1999, and it was actually for Dale Jarrett and Brett Favre's short-lived Busch Series team. So Kenny Irwin went from his first top 5 in the Busch Series, Grand National Series, to ultimately getting the pole for the second time in his Cup career on Sunday. So a pretty good weekend overall, but I don't think he finished better than like 17th or 18th in the race. And that Saturday, Mark Martin was coming in with a head of steam. He had won, of course, on that famous Winn-Dixie car. Jeff Gordon was actually in that race too, but I think he finished 12th or 13th. But I brought up Jeff Gordon because he had one of the hardest crashes he's probably ever had, aside from the Las Vegas crash. I feel like a lot of people have seen that clip um, go around in like crash compilations of Gordon's hardest wrecks, and this is one of them. Dom, this could have been one you uploaded on your YouTube back in the day. Just because he hit so hard. I mean, it's a miracle that he walked away. There was a repave that happened between 1998 and 1999 to try to make the track a little bit cleaner, and NASCAR had thrown a competition caution early just to make sure that the tires were wearing appropriately. But there were a good bit of failures in this race, and unfortunately for Jeff Gordon, he was the first. Mike Skinner ended up having a very similar issue in turn 2 versus Jeff Gordon's turn 4, and also blew a tire, but he was actually taken out on a stretcher for precautions. Turned out he was okay, but just 2 like horrific wrecks, probably the worst 2 of their individual careers. And then the next wreck after that didn't happen long after Mike Skinner's. Kevin LePage probably had one of the worst of his career. He hit driver's side in turn 2, not from a blown tire, just getting loose, but absolutely demolished the wall. Like, and driver's side impacts, that's what cost, one too many drivers' lives in our time. So it's a miracle that he could walk away from that. But yeah, that Kevin LePage crash was the only multi-car crash of the race. It had John Andretti, Kenny Schrader, Jeff Bedine, and Rick Mast in the race. Funny enough, Kevin LePage, a lot of people remember him for Talladega, which we were at last week for that famous turn 2 incident in the Busch Series, but he would end up finishing top 5 here at Texas the next year in 2000. So he would wreck out this race, but have a little bit of luck go his way the year after. I wanted to mention too, Randy LaJoie. He had one of the other incidents in the race because there weren't that many. It was just a lot of tires. But Randy LaJoie, he lost a motor on lap 152. It was one of his rare appearances. This happened after his little brief tenure with Hendrick Motorsports the year prior. And it was actually with the debuting Ernie Irvan I think it was Mark Simo racing team, which Mark Simo had a racing team a little later on in like 2006. But this was the very team later in 1999, where of course Ernie Irvan had his career-ending crash in the Busch Series at Michigan. So obviously for Irvin Simo Racing, a team that not a lot of people knew a lot about of, even though Ernie Irvan, he was pouring his heart and soul into the sport. It's just unfortunate that nothing really went their way in Cup, and then later that same year, Ernie Irvan would be forced out of the sport. So just not a good year for injuries and just some horrific wrecks. It's lucky that we didn't lose anybody in this 1999, 2000, like early 2000 era, because these crashes were exactly the crashes that we lost. Adam Petty and Dale Earnhardt and Kenny Irwin and Corey or Tony Roper. All these guys the next years. So just crazy. Um, Not a lot more happened. Joe Nemechek spun on the front stretch. Mark Martin, he blew a tire in one and two, but it wasn't really a hard impact. And it all kind of led up to a battle there at the end between Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte, who were the best two cars all day. Terry Labonte passed Dale Jarrett with 12 laps to go, and a caution with about 3 or 4 laps to go between Jimmy Spencer and Robert Presley ended up bringing out the caution where it would finish under caution. And Terry Labonte would get the victory in his home state, which is absolutely cool. Driving, of course, the 5 Kellogg's car, but actually without a mustache. I feel like too many people knew Texas Terry with the mustache. He won this without it. And this was one of the last, I think the second to last race, aside from the Bristol 1999 race where he would lead over 100 laps in a race. But Bobby Labonte ended up finishing third. So it was just a big win for the Labonte family. Pretty cool seeing Terry Labonte get a win in his home state. And then his brother, of course, coming home with a podium. Just a really cool race overall. And of course, I have to shout him out, Elliott Sadler. I brought him up in our 2001 Pocono race recap, but this was his first top 10 of his Cup Series career, finishing in 10th place. So pretty cool for old Texas Terry. Steve and we've got our famous hats. I'll have to find mine under the house. Steve will have to bring it back out, but
Right.
we love Texas Terry on this podcast.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That was one of 2 times Jeff Gordon finished 43rd in a race, both at
Yes,
Texas.
I've meant to mention that too. This was one of you might be right, two times he'd finished dead last. And this was I think the very first. I don't know
I
if he'd
think he
ever
did it in
finished dead
08.
last.
I think he did it in 08 as well at Texas.
It was 08.
2008. So yeah, dead last for Jeff Gordon is not something you talk about. And unfortunately for him, it came from aside from the Vegas crash again, just one of the worst wrecks you could possibly have, where it's an angle into the wall that could easily have took his life.
And Steve came out arguing today, so I'll throw this in there too. Is anyone complaining today that that race had a caution with 4 to go and they didn't go green again? Is anyone complaining about that? Was anyone complaining about that back then? That the guy who deserved to win won because they didn't have manufactured green white checkers or overtime and all that garbage?
I got nothing to add to that because, like, yeah, you're right. Now, caution came out with 4 to go. Did it end under caution?
This one
Yeah.
did end under caution, but obviously, if they took more time, if we had green white checkers, they would have gone to an extended overtime restart. Thus, Terry Labonte might not have got a second to last career win. Thus, he may never have won another race in his career or had the spectacular Bristol finish later that season.
Hey, Brad Keselowski put it best. This is an entertainment sport, not a fair sport.
If there's no green white checkers in 2014, Jeff Gordon wins at Texas and probably wins the championship.
I say Terry Labonte didn't earn it.
I agree with you guys, but I have a theory with the next gen car, right? Really quick. So if you still had overtime, what if you maybe it's a double file restart that's choosing the winner at the end, What if it was single file restarts? I feel like the guy in first would still win and deserve to win. Is that a wrong theory or is that
So I said this, what was it after, I guess, Kansas? I think we had the whole debate about it. And single file restarts is one thing you could do. I think the other thing you got to do is you can't have pit stops. Either no pit stops or non-competitive pit stops where we can't be having guys in 18th taking two tires, getting out to the front, and then because of the next gen car, they win the race because they were in 18th going a lap down and they just took two tires or stayed out and then they win.
So how is that their fault though? How is that their fault for trying to have a different strategy than the
I'm not
leaders?
saying it's
It's
their
a
fault. I'm just saying the format allows someone in 18th going a lap down a chance to win with three to go. Just wait for a caution.
I feel like the two-tire pit stop from the guy in 18th wouldn't be as fast enough to get to first, though. I mean,
Is
I
it
get your point. I know that's not your
yeah,
point,
because then
but
it depends on where they're racing and
yeah, it
then
depends. I feel like what spot they're in.
aero blocking and things like that.
I mean, it was fast enough for four tires on Denny Hamlin at Phoenix to fall back to ninth.
Ryan Blaney's two-tire pit stop, they'd still be going.
So I think if you were gonna keep overtime and make it fair, you need to not have the running order change at the moment of caution till the restart. That's how I think it is. It's whether it's not allowing pit stops or everyone gets to come in and do pit stops because it's just that's the only fair way I could think of without
That's
just get rid of them.
That's what I had said I think last week or the last time we talked about it was just like kind of what you're saying, Dom, is if they, within the last 10 laps, if caution comes out, just have them all come down pit road, all be mandated to do a four-tire pit stop fuel. You come out in the same position and then you don't, and then just let it play out from there. That way it maintains kind of the integrity of what would have been the finish, but also keeps the entertainment factor because you're not ending the race, short, which I mean at times I've said I'm a proponent of ending the race in the scheduled distance, but I feel like, for the benefit of the fans, the sport, and everything in between, I feel like you have to have that race finish in the green. So if everybody comes down, puts on four, fills up the tank, if you miscalculate it, if you're low on fuel and just top it off a little bit, you run out, that's your own fault. Is what it is.
And NASCAR wants races to end under green. So that Emp Lemon video I referred to the last episode. He lays out a great example. The 2024 Brickyard, was it 24 Brickyard? Yeah, where it was Keselowski, Blaney, and Larson. So there was a caution with two to go. I want to say two or three to go, and so instead of just running it out, the Brickyard 400 ends at the 400-mile mark. We run all these caution laps. Then Keselowski pulls off coming to the green white checker. And then nobody knows the rules. Not even NASCAR knows the rules on who's the control car or whatnot between the 5 and the 12. Then we have a crash in turn 2. And NASCAR then just waits for Larson to take the white flag to then end the race under caution anyway. So we couldn't just end the race under caution about 25 minutes earlier. And I think that was a whole debacle because you had people running out of gas. So then pace laps kept getting extended. Then NASCAR got booted off of NBC over to USA because they went over their, TV time. And all that just for the race to end under caution a half hour later when you could have just had the race end under caution at the 400-mile mark. So that and we have that happen a lot because like Nashville's a joke. That finish is the biggest joke of a finish ever, and I'm not even saying that because Hamlin got screwed and Logano won from 15th at the end of regulation.
In all honesty, I feel like if you're gonna have overtime, have one, and then if you have another caution, end it under caution. Like have one overtime. That's it. Like obviously, like I know the not the theory, but like the theoretical sense that they're trying to be like other sports and like keep going with overtimes and stuff, try and end it under green. But I feel like the most fair way if you want to keep overtime is to simply just have one. And then guess what? Wreck happens, caution's out, that's it. Over. Whoever's the leader wins the race, and under caution.
Yeah, because then you had the same thing happen again back in 23 when Hamlin won Pocono. Ryan Preece was spun out for how long before Hamlin took the white flag? Then he takes the white flag, and then they throw the caution. So if you're gonna just do that anyway, just end it under regular circumstances. And then one, if you do one green white checker, then you run into the stupid situation you ran into at Talladega back in 2015, where Harvick his engine's gone, so he just intentionally wrecks everybody to get that caution, so he doesn't lose all these spots and get eliminated. But I guess we don't have to run into the elimination thing anymore. But I don't know. I guess realistically, it's either no change or get rid of all of it. There's no. That's the only simple way to look at it. So we've talked about this enough, Steve. I hope in the 35 minutes we've been recording, you have dug up something for trivia here.
We have dug up some trivia. We have.
Anthony's first try here. He could tie
Yeah.
Sam in one shot.
All right. Well,
What do I gotta get one correct?
if you win this week, you're tied with Sam, who's been playing all
Yes.
season.
Yes.
All right. Well, Texas, dating back to 1997, Jeff Burton, the inaugural winner. But this time, there's a handful of drivers that only have one career win at Texas Motor Speedway. I'm not including the All-Star race or the Open that was there. So this has to be a points paying race, but these drivers only have one career win to date at Texas. Anthony, since you're our guest this week, I'll let you go first, and then we'll go to Wes and to Dom. Our standings as it sits right now, Dom's still leading with 7, Wes with 2. Sam finally got on the board last week for the Talladega preview. He's on with 1. Anthony, drivers that have one career win at Texas Motor Speedway. Do you have a guess?
Just at Texas?
Just at Texas.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon is off the board, yes. He currently has 1, and that was in 2020. Throw it over to Wes.
I couldn't tell you anything aside from Terry Labonte. So just give me the Terry, and that's probably going to be it.
All right, well, there's Wes's 1 point.
I don't know anything about Texas.
All right, Dom, do you have a guess?
I'm going to go with yeah, we'll go with Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon has won, historically, one of his worst tracks. But you did get that win in 09. All right, Anthony, throwing it back over to you.
I don't know. I feel like I know it, but I can't think of it right now. I think I'm on the same side as Wes, so I think I can't name anymore.
Oh man, are we gonna give Dom the win by default here?
You gotta throw something out. You gotta.
Look, we've named 3 drivers. I'm counting 1, 2, 3.
How many are left?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. At least 10.
There's 10 left?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know if we're gonna get through all 10 of these.
I don't think we're getting through all of it. I feel like if I just give a random answer, it's gonna sound stupid. Like it's gonna sound like a multi-time winner. I don't know.
Don't guess Jimmy Johnson.
I'm just gonna say Kenseth. I don't. Matt Kenseth.
No, He's won twice.
Yeah.
Wes, do you have another guess, or was Terry? Did Terry use up all the guessing?
Well, I was trying to think in my head in order in the 2000s, Dale Earnhardt Jr., but I don't know if he's won more than one. So I'll say Junior.
You would be correct. His first career win and only win at Texas in 2000.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this finish. Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott. Yes, that is his only career win in the very nice looking Hooters car, I will add. All right, we're at 1 for Anthony, 2 for Wes, 2 for Dom. Anthony, do you have another guess here?
Um, I don't get. Sorry, it's my first one. So do I get hints or no? Is that not a thing?
Oh, we ain't there yet.
We're not. It's when it starts getting real tough.
I thought I'd ask. Carl Edwards.
No, Carl Edwards is a 4-time Texas winner.
Sorry, I told you. I told you it was gonna sound stupid.
At least you're naming winners.
Yeah, you are naming winners.
That's true. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of.
All right, Wes, do you have a guess?
Yeah, this is the last one I remember.
Oh, he's gonna
because I
take
don't
it from
know.
me. He's gonna take it from me. I know it.
I don't know. I mean, it's. I was trying to think of like recently, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of the recent winners that are going to show up, but I couldn't even name you one because I barely watched. So the only other finish I can remember is the most famous finish, and it's because I said his name earlier.
I took it.
10th place. Yeah, it was Elliott Sadler
He took it from me.
because he beat Casey Kane at the line.
Dang it.
We watched that one because I think Gordon and Junior were side by side for like fourth.
Sure did.
Jeez.
But aside from that, now I'm a sheep in a lonely field.
Oh my goodness. That's not what I wanted to hear. Did not want to hear Elliott Sadler. Shoot. I don't even know. Man, I feel like he won more than once, but I got Truex. I think he probably won more than once.
Oh,
He might not have won there at all, actually.
yeah. He actually has
0.
0. Wow.
Yeah.
For how dominant he was in the, 2016 to, throughout the rest of his career, I'm shocked that he doesn't have any Texas wins. No, Truex not on the list. So we're at Anthony 1, Wes 3, Dom with 2.
What are the DraftKings odds of Anthony pulling this comeback here? And
My minus. No, not minus.
minus.
Oh, whoa.
No, my bad. Plus, maybe plus like 1,000, maybe plus 2,000. Kind of like how they call me the Atlanta Hawks in trivia.
Any guess for you, Anthony?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, why not? Kurt Busch.
Yes. Give it to Kurt Busch. Fall race of 2009.
The odds went down.
All right, how are we down to? We're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're down to 6. Wes, do you happen to know one of those 6?
We have 6 more.
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get through all 6.
I'll just say, did Bobby Labonte win?
No, unfortunately not. Texas
No.
guy.
Sure.
Terry got one, but not Bobby. All right, Dom, can you tie it up here?
Did Tony Stewart only win there once?
Twice. 2006, and then when he went on that generational run in 2011.
He won that? That's yeah. I don't know why I thought Edwards won that. Edwards only won one race that whole year.
Yeah.
He might have. Yeah, I don't know
Which
why I
is
guessed.
crazy to believe, to be honest.
Idiot. Ah,
Yeah. All right. We'll make this our last round here. See what we can do. Anthony, can you tie things up?
Casey Kane.
Golly, he tied it up. Can you name the year?
20. It wasn't 2010, right?
No. 2006 when he was driving
Um,
that. He
I was
won on
gonna
that
say
tear in
08.
'06. All right. Wes, can you lock up the win here?
Oh, that's not gonna happen. I'm like stuck before Elliott Sadler, and I'm like, I don't know
Hey,
anybody that
there are three people before Elliott Sadler.
three. I'll guess because I also said his name, Mark Martin.
Boom. Yes. Mark Martin was, let me
Was he
fact check
98?
myself, 98. Yep.
oh my! I got like two right off the. God, I have like two or three right off the top of my head right now.
All right, Dom. For a consolation, attaboy.
Reddick's won there once.
Yep.
William Byron,
Yep.
and I think Larson only won there in 2021. I don't think he's won there in the next gen car.
He has 21. Wait. Oh, son of a gun. Yeah. Okay. Well, what website am I on? FRCS.pro has some incorrect information then because they have Larson as a two-time Texas winner. So, but no, 21 according to Racing Reference, which is actual credible, reliable information, only has Larson as a single-time Texas winner. So, any other guesses out there before I reveal the rest of them?
The rest
Oh, it's
not
over.
active.
Let's see. We have
I was gonna guess. Are we done? I mean, we're done,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
you got the win.
Oh, I was gonna say, did Dale Jarrett?
yes, yep. Dale Jarrett was one. Ryan Newman was the other one, 2003. So yeah, the lists: Kurt Busch, William Byron, Austin Dillon, Dale Jr., Chase Elliott, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, Casey Kane, Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, Ryan Newman, Tyler Reddick, Elliott Sadler, and as we found out, Kyle Larson.
There you have it.
All right, Wes's third win of the year.
I'm in a slump. Well, that'll take us down to our underdogs of the week. When you look at Texas Motor Speedway, someone you got to keep your eye out on, Daniel Suarez. In the last two races there, has an average finish of 7.5, which is second best in the series. He's got finishes of fifth and 10th, and he may not have led a lap. He runs right around that top 10 at Texas and seems to keep the car pointing straight. So, with more speed now in that 7 car, I would not be shocked at all if Suarez is a top 10 finisher this weekend.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, he ran, like you said, ran good with the track house equipment, and now he's really improved with the Spire equipment. So I'd say that that's a solid pick. Um, I know I took him last week. I'm going to take him again this week. My underdog is going to be Eric Jones. Out of his last 10 races at Texas, he's got six top 10 finishes, three of them being top fives, an average finish of 11.7 over the last 10 Texas races. So I like Eric Jones. He seems to be a good pick, and Texas is just a good fit for him.
He hasn't been running too well, but I was gonna say John Hunter Nemechek. This year's been a little bit rocky, but I feel like and especially with Eric Jones being so good here, are due for some good finishes, and they still kind of run together on track. So I feel like, if Eric Jones is going to be running top five, even if it's John Hunter Nemechek's, one of his lesser best tracks, I feel like he'd run top 10 just because they always seem to be heel and toe. But for John Hunter, he's actually pretty good here. He's won twice in the O'Reilly series and once in the Truck series, leading the most laps. So, yeah, John Hunter, he's only had two top 20s this year. He's on a string of, let's see, two, four, six, seven straight finishes outside the top 20. At some point, that's going to come to an end. And he did finish 8th here in the spring last year. So I'll say John Hunter Nemechek.
I'm gonna go with Austin Dillon. Obviously past Texas winner. I know RCR struggles with the speed a lot, but you know, I at the beginning of the week I heard a very interesting thing that is going on at Texas this week called the waxing crescent. Something new to learn about. And in that learning stage, I saw that Austin Dillon has the highest winning percentage with that, So if there's a lot of grip on the track and that three car can keep track position up front, maybe Austin Dillon could be one to beat on Sunday. We don't know yet.
Well, his two finishes in the last 2 years are seventh and eighth. So he's got something up his sleeve there at Texas for whatever reason.
Got some consistency. It's
And
still
also,
it's still one laners.
I guess we said it, but the poor guy didn't even wish him a happy birthday. Happy 36, Austin.
I can't believe
It
he's
was his birthday on
36.
Monday.
I remember being a fan of his when he drove the Honey Nut Cheerios car in the Daytona 500, and winning nationwide championships.
Man, Austin Dillon, Wes has said it many times, potentially the most underrated driver in the Cup Series, even like most underrated when it comes to being underrated in the Cup Series.
The most underrated driver for sure. I stand by it. I mean, like, I again, it's just I probably said it 30, 40 times on here, complacency. But Austin Dillon is a very competent driver, and he's super smart. He could be super funny too. He says some of the wittiest things you'll hear. I've always liked him in the broadcast booth. He like says the most ridiculous stuff, but it's in a good way. He calls it like he sees it. So, yeah, happy 36, Austin.
Yeah, speaking of the booth, didn't the CW announced that they're gonna have a whole driver lineup again this summer? I see if I can pull that up real quick.
I saw that earlier. I
The
believe
order. I know Hamlin's doing the first one at the
El Ross
Charlotte.
is doing one.
All right, here we go. We got Hamlin doing Charlotte. Zilish is doing Nashville. Chastain is doing Pocono. Albendinger's doing Sonoma. Kyle Busch is doing Atlanta. And then Bubba Wallace is doing Indy. And then those races will actually have the broadcast booth live at the racetrack as opposed to the studio, which they typically do their races at, which is pretty cool. So, on to the next one, which, hey, Anthony's here. So we could just get the lowdown right here. Making money with Marchesi. What are we looking forward to here this weekend?
We got to make some money. Oh my Jesus! There was one, I forgot which race it was. It was a couple of races ago, but we were off by one, and I think like it was a top 10 finisher, and they finished 12th. I think it was Priest at Martinsville, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I can do this live. So I uploaded the video, but so whoever wants to watch, but I did two top 5 finishers, two top 10 finishers. And going back to what you said with the Suarez thing, that was my first underdog. I put him in the top 10. I think the odds were like plus 260 or plus 280. It was one or the other. But second best average finish in the last couple of years there. And now he's running better in Spire equipment than Trackhouse. I feel like with those odds, it's just like you can't bet against that. And then I put Chase Briscoe in the top 10. I think that 19 car has had speed all season long. They've just ran into a lot of bad things, like whether it's blown tires, blown transmission, just different things that have taken them out of the running. And he's like trying to battle on the mark for 16th of the chase. So I think they are due for a solid run. The 19 crew always has speed at tracks like this. And back to the Waxing Crescent, he was the one that brought it up anyway. So I feel like you have to run good in those stakes. But the two top five finishers, I put Larson and Logano. Larson, I believe, just has the speed there all the time. It's crazy to think that he's only won there once. And I brought up the incident with Bubba Wallace earlier where he was battling for the win and spun out. But I feel like if the five team can just minimize their mistakes and keep the speed up there, I think they have a really good shot at a top five. And then I feel like the other one's pretty obvious. I feel like Joey Logano always sneaks his way into these top fives with these wins. Last year, for a good example, he ended up passing Michael McDowell with like 4 to go. And then Michael McDowell wrecked. But I don't know, Joey Logano top five. I feel like he's always up front there at the end. He might not be there throughout the race, but he always just finds a way to get up there. So I feel like it's a nice, decent bet. $5 wins you 179 and change. It's not as big of a payout as the other ones, but
We're just looking for a payout.
yeah, we're looking for a payout. We're just trying something. I'm about to just bet on Reddick top 10 every week, and we'll make some money, but. Yeah, hopefully we can get a win out of that. I might start doing maybe some O'Reilly ones too, like the head-to-heads. They have those head-to-head matchups. Maybe you could I could pop one of those throughout the weekend there too.
I don't know. We did that with Kansas, and it was over by lap 2.
No. I did a head-to-head matchup with Carson Quaffle, and the dude is flipping down the back straightaway. This is like, I looked at Dom and I'm like, this is just not happening again, I guess. But
Oh my goodness, man. Oh my gosh. Well, there you have it. Making money with Marchesi. Make sure you tail that bet, because I think if you tail that one, it's got a good chance. I think Logano is the only sketchy one, but if he could just find himself up front, no one's going to pass him. So that's really the deal there. And let's go into our fantasy draft. And you know what? Since Sam is sick, he said to go by average finish, but Anthony's here. So I think Anthony's going to draft Sam's team this week. I think that's what we're going to roll with. And if we get to the standings here, monster week for myself at Talladega. So now, after Talladega, Sam leads, has a 30-point lead over Wes in second. Then now I am only sitting 46 points back. And then Steve fell back to last again, sitting 67 points back of the lead. So, Anthony, you get to go first. You have everyone on the board available except for Logano, Hamlin, and Chase Elliott.
I'm picking one guy. Like,
Yeah,
what?
you're gonna draft a team of 3 here.
Okay, and I can't pick
Yeah.
Hamlin, Logano, or Elliott.
Yeah, and how this is scored is, we take their stage points plus finishing position points, and it creates a cumulative score for the week. So
Got you.
it's
All right. Give me. I'll take Tyler Reddick.
Only one.
It's a snake draft.
Only one. It's a draft. It's a draft. We go snake draft. So
oh,
1,
my
2,
bad.
3, 4.
Sorry.
Yep.
My bad. I'm learning it.
So you're going with Reddick with the first pick?
Yeah, Reddick with the first pick.
Low hanging fruit. I'm going with William Byron.
Wow, this is when was the last time William Byron was picked? Oh my God.
Let's see. I got this
Martinsville.
Martinsville. Yeah, Martinsville went first round and has not been picked since. No Bristol, Kansas, or Dega.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah, that takes it to me. I'll take Hocevar.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Where do I go with this one?
Is anybody else craving Dente margarita after Talladega? I was.
As long as it's better than that Chili's that was next to the hotel we had in New
Oh my
Hampshire.
God. Don't even get me
Takes
started.
like an hour to get them to change the channel to the Giants game on Sunday Night
Nobody
Football.
wants to watch the damn Giants anyways. They're
Yeah.
doing you a favor.
How are those Vikings doing?
We won't talk about them.
All right, I'm going Kyle Larson, and then we're gonna go with guy who's always up there. Yeah, let's go with I'll go with Bell.
And then I'll take Hamlin.
I will go with man. I'll go with Briscoe.
Nah, Anthony, you get 2 picks here.
I will complete the not trifecta. I can't do math, but Ty Gibbs. Uh, and then you know what? I can't believe I'm going to say this is a safe pick for me, but Daniel Suarez.
I'll finish mine out with Ryan Blaney.
Uh, I'll take Eric Jones. I'll put some faith in him. Actually, can I change it? Put some
Nick.
faith in somebody else. Let me put some faith. Eric will be fine. We need some cheering up at Richard Childress. I'll take Austin Dillon. I'll take the
Oh.
birthday boy.
I would have stuck with Eric Jones.
Well, it's Austin's birthday. We should draft him.
I'll go
Birthday
with to end the deal here. We'll go Corey Heim. So to recap, Sam will roll this week with Anthony's lineup of Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, and Daniel Suarez. Second in points, Wes is going with Carson Hocevar, Denny Hamlin, and Austin Dillon. Myself in third is going with Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Corey Heim. And Steve is going with William Byron, Chase Briscoe, and Ryan Blaney, the Triple Bs, the Killer Bees.
Yep. It is not Better Business Bureau. It is Byron Briscoe Blaney.
Well, that takes us into just some final thoughts here for Texas. Again, going to be very tough to pass. Leader's going to have a big advantage this weekend, and it's pit road, pit road, pit road. Got to be clean on pit road. Cannot get any speeding penalties, no equipment penalties, no loose wheels, all that good stuff if you want a chance to win at Texas. It's only 400 miles now. It's not a 500-mile race like it used to be. And avoid the bump in turns 3 and 4 because that will send you spinning and backing it into the outside wall.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was going to be the thing that I watch for is who's going to hit the bumps in 3 and 4 and who's going to keep the car going forward and who's going to miss that because we've seen that the last couple of years. I think Josh Berry was a victim of it. Kyle Busch was a victim of it. It just seems like that you're going make one minor mistake and you're out to lunch at that point. So that'll be a thing that I look for in all three races, trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup.
Anything from Wes or Anthony before we wrap up here?
No, I was just trying to look up who all's going to be running in some of the other races just to kind of get a better feel for the weekend. I don't have the entry list in front of me. Here it is. I wanted to just see trucks on Friday night. It's Brandon Jones in the 1, William Swalich in the 5, Kyle Busch in the 7 Spire with Carson Hocevar in the 77, so they'll be teammates there. Ross Chastain's back in the race in the 45. Parker Kligerman, he's going to be in the Ram entry in the 25. We've got Tony Breidinger back in the 27, and Corey Roper in the 62, which is interesting because I don't think Corey Roper's made a start for Stuart Friesen.
No, I don't think
So
so.
that's going to be the best opportunity he's ever had. And I think Corey Roper I think there was a time in the race that Greg Biffle won here where he finished top 10, where like the whole field pretty much wrecked out, but he was up there in the mix. So that's pretty cool. I did not know he was going to have a shot. And then Connor Jones back in the 42 from Nice. And then on Saturday, Connor Zilish, Austin Dillon, and Kyle Larson are all going to do double duty there. Kind of like Kyle Busch and Hocevar, but these guys in O'Reilly for it looks like Kyle Larson, Junior Motorsports, Austin Dillon with Richard Childress. And then nothing too different for the rest of the field. Carson Klopp on the 9, Rajah Caruth in the 32, and Andres Perez de Lara will be in the 42. So this will be one of his early starts. I think it might be his second, and it'll be for Young's Motorsports. Chad Fincham back in the 66 for Cup on Sunday with Corey Heim, who's your pick, Dom, for Sunday's race. Yeah, just like to kind of highlight the weekend there, see who all is going to be running in the other races, but it's nice to have a triple header back. Hey, the truck series always takes like a long time off, but it's good that they're back and going to be part of a full triple header weekend, which will be pretty exciting. So yeah, we'll see how the race plays out. Hopefully, it should be better. I think it could be better than last year. I think as the tires and well, I guess as the track wears out and the tires, later in the runs, I feel like it's going to make it a little bit more entertaining. I just hope it's more of a fight for track position, or I guess less of a fight for track position, so we can see some more passing than just a full continuous aero battle.
They starting this week, 6 weeks in a row of trucks. So a good stretch of truck racing coming up after like 3 weeks off after
Best,
Bristol.
I missed that booth.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I'm looking forward, speaking of trucks, one thing I'm like looking into is first time winners again. Like I know we've already had so many this season, whether it's ARCA, trucks, O'Reilly or Cup, but I think one we can look into O'Reilly and trucks for maybe a first time winner this weekend. I feel like Caden Honeycutt has been like the man to beat on certain truck weekends and just gets caught up in everyone else's mess. I know Darlington, he was monstrously fast and just late cautions kind of sent him back. And then Bristol, he got involved in the high Mecca's mess. So I feel like he's got monster speed, Corey Heim speed from last year or wherever he goes. I feel like he can definitely get his first career win this weekend. And look out for Steve's gonna like this one. Look out for Carson Quaffle. I don't know. I feel like Carson Quaffle is a very, very underrated junior motorsports driver. I just feel like he doesn't get talked about as much as he should. And I feel like he always brings speed to the track. As long as he's not flipping on the back straightaway, I think he's got a shot. So I don't know if we can have another first time winner in Cup this weekend, but the
Corey
other
Heim.
I don't know. I feel like it's too early. But that would definitely. I feel like if he won this weekend, it would kick Herbst out like next week.
Actually, no, I changed. Herbst is winning this week. He finished 14th there last year.
Listen, he's got some speed. They got speed this time. They told him to step up, and he's stepping up. Talladega's not his fault. That was fuel strategy galore's fault.
Yeah. O'Reilly race, I'll be shocked if it's not Kyle Larson. Dude almost lapped the entire field last year. So, yeah. That's I think all we got here. Texas. Enjoy it. Hopefully Jeff Burton's right. Hopefully it's proves to be the best track on the circuit. And hopefully they'll be adding grandstands there after this race weekend going in the next year. So thanks, Anthony, for jumping in for Sam and for Wes, Steve. I'm Dom. We'll talk to you next week after the race weekend in Texas.